Bennett, it's a real honour and a privilege to welcome you to the 2017 Housing Technology Conference. You're known as a comedian. You're obviously a very busy man, and not only are you performing gigs all over the UK, but you're also a scriptwriter. Your programme about how to steal an identity for Channel 4 was BAFTA shortlisted. That was positive out of a difficult situation.
When my identity was stolen, and it happened a few years ago, there was no one around to help. The credit reference agencies at the time would simply just send you a credit report for £2 and show you, everybody to whom you owed money or allegedly owed money. But there was no service to help. The banks didn't help. People didn't know about it. And the problem was back then, I had to convince people that I was me and not the person pretending to be me. And that's a very odd thing to do. That's very, going into shops and trying to explain that the money you owed them wasn't yours, wasn't from your account, that somebody had opened up, especially when nobody had heard about identity theft. I mean, at the time, it was only later I found out I was one of the first major victims of the crime in the UK, which I didn't know at the time. It was, it's a lovely thing to have on a t-shirt now. But at the time, it was a subject that people weren't talking about. It wasn't in the news. And it was very, very difficult. And I was spending every minute of every day convincing people that I was me, trying to get my name cleared. So it was very tough. There was nobody really to turn to at the time.
I had a letter from my bank, and this letter said, "Dear Mr. Arron, we're writing to you because of your outstanding debts." I don't think they meant they were impressed by them. Now, I knew it wasn't me. I'd never been in debt. I never owed money to anybody, always paid off my bills, always paid off my credit cards. Even as a child, I always paid off my monthly contributions to the Olivia Newton-John fan club, even though I never received the promised lock of hair or teeth. So I knew this wasn't me.
You make light of it now, but it's really a serious thing, isn't it?
Having your identity stolen it's the most invasive thing. And the problem with it is that it's still not taken by the police as a serious enough crime. It's looked upon as more or less a victimless crime. And because say you have, your TV stolen, DVD player stolen, it's something tangible. You go, this has been stolen, this is what it looked like, there's a report on it, you can try and get it replaced. You can do a like-for-like thing with insurance companies. We can't do that with your own identity. It's such a difficult thing to explain to people the impact it can have on your life, how devastating it can be. And I try to explain to stores, to the police, how important it is to realise that victims of this crime are just like normal crime victims and have to be helped. And to an extent have to be helped much more.
Our sector obviously owns a considerable amount of houses. How do you think that those people in those homes and maybe the housing associations that own them could help?
I wanted people to learn through what happened to me. I can't say learn through my mistakes because I don't feel I made a mistake. I can't look back and go, oh, if I hadn't done that, then this wouldn't have happened. I didn't make a mistake. I think there's responsibility on both sides. There's responsibility on the side of the banks, the shops, the mobile phone companies to make sure that the people who are applying for things are the genuine people, to do more checks. Banks are very quick, especially credit card companies, very quick to say, oh, it's fine, if there's identity theft, if fraud goes on, don't worry, you won't be liable for it. Well, you might not be liable for the money side of it, but it's still your identity, it's still your credit rating. And if you've got a 0 credit rating, you're stuck. You're not going to be able to do anything. So banks should have more responsibility than just to say, it's fine, we'll wipe the slate clean, because you're not. You might be wiping off the money, but you're not wiping the name clean. So I think with regards to the housing associations, I think there should be more information given out to people, because even though companies are liable, we ourselves are liable to make mistakes. Cybercrime is huge. People fall victim every single day. But I tell the story because I want people to be aware how big a problem it is. And to do that, you have to personalize it. It's all very well sending out information sheets going, be careful with this. But by my doing a personal story and people coming with me on that story, hopefully they will walk away and think, okay, I've got to be more aware of this myself. So the feedback has been lovely.
I'm holding up your book. Is there a silver bullet that you could give from what you've learned from your experiences?
I would tell people, to be vigilant but not to worry, to be aware of things but not to live your life in fear. I guess that's the main thing I would say to people. Just to be, I mean, it's a horrible thing to say, not to trust anything, so I'm not saying that, but just to be aware, especially with phone calls, with emails. Just before you do anything, just think, is this genuine? That's all. Just that little moment, is this genuine? And of course, you know, shredding things is important, not giving out your number, your PIN or any information unless you know it's genuine.
I guess, and finally, I mean, this happened to you a few years ago.
Yeah.
Are you still suffering from any of those effects?
There are things that I haven't managed to overcome from the time that it happened to me, which still does have repercussions. Of course, being arrested doesn't really help. But I think what it's done more than anything else is to make me a little bit more worried about it happening again. Because if I get a notification that something odd is happening on my account, the first thing that goes through my head is, oh no, here we go again. And those feelings, because of what happened to me, I won't get rid of. But at least now I know how to deal with it a little bit more, and there is more help around than there was then. So at least, you know, there are places that you can turn to.
It just remains for me to say thank you so much for coming to Housing Technology 2017. The audience found it illuminating, and I think we've all learned a lot more about how we can protect ourselves against identity fraud.
My pleasure. I'm sorry the real Bennett Arron couldn't make it.